The Trump administration doubling down today on the president's demonstrably false claim that the media does not cover terrorist attacks in Europe. The White House released a list of 78 attacks it claims have largely, quote, not received the media attention they deserved, unquote. Now, of course, that's not the same criticism that President Trump made. They changed it to terror attacks being undercovered instead of not covered. But even after going through the spin cycle, this fabric falls apart in the light of day. The list includes the January 2015 Paris terrorist attacks that killed 17 innocent people, the November 2015 attacks in Paris that killed 130 people, the Pulse nightclub shooting in Orlando, Florida, and the San Bernardino, California attack. Now, 2 of those 4 attacks I traveled to cover on the ground. The others, as you know, we covered extensively. In fact, almost every single one of the attacks listed received coverage, if not quite extensive coverage. CNN senior White House correspondent Jim Acosta is at the White House for us right now. Jim, is it unfair to suggest, as I've heard some people say, that President Trump seems to be making the case that only he and those media outlets that are supportive of him are sources of reliable information?
I don't think that's a stretch at all, Jake. And we should point out President Trump is ramping up the rhetoric on terrorism as he is hoping that his extreme vetting executive order is reinstated by a court later on this afternoon. Now, to back up that tough talk, the White House is standing by this list that was issued to reporters yesterday, a list of recent terror attacks that the administration falsely claims that the media are underreporting. In a meeting with law enforcement officials from around the country, President Trump was sounding like the new sheriff in town, confident that a U.S. appellate court will put his executive order banning travel from 7 majority Muslim countries, previously identified as countries of concern, back in action.
It's common sense. You know, some things are law, and I'm all in favor of that. And some things are common sense. This is common sense.
Ever since a federal judge slapped a temporary restraining order on the executive order, the president has been amping up his rhetoric, tweeting, "The threat from radical Islamic terrorism is very real. Just look at what is happening in Europe and the Middle East. Courts must act fast." The president said he's willing to take his case all the way to the Supreme Court.
We're going to take it through the system. It's very important. It's very important for the country, regardless of me or whoever succeeds at a later date.
One of the president's main arguments is that the public isn't getting the real story on the terror threat from the news media.
It's gotten to a point where it's not even being reported. And in many cases, the very, very dishonest press doesn't want to report it. They have their reasons, and you understand that.
To back up that false claim that the media is not reporting on terrorism, the White House released a list of 78 terror attacks since late 2014. Aides to the president claimed the media downplayed most of those terrorist acts. But not only does the list contain numerous misspellings, it includes recent high-profile attacks in Paris, San Bernardino, California, the mass shooting at the Orlando nightclub, and the truck attack in Nice, France. Acts of terrorism that were covered extensively by the news media. White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer tried this explanation.
He was making a point as to the exposure that attacks get. And I think that's what he was getting at, is that we see these things and they're becoming too prevalent. And that's why I think he wants to become ever vigilant, to make sure that we don't ever get lax.
But asked about his claim that the press is downplaying terror, the president didn't back down.
I understand the total dishonesty of the media better than anybody, and I let people know it. I mean, the media is a very, very dishonest arm, and we'll see what happens. Not everybody, and I have to say that. I always preface it by saying, not everybody, but there's tremendous dishonesty, pure outright dishonesty from the media.
One Republican lawmaker who's close to the White House, Congressman Sean Duffy, told CNN the media are being played.
First, I think you're playing right into his hand. In that broader conversation, you're now airing on your network the greatest hits over the last couple of years of terror attacks.
So in other words, we are taking the bait.
You are. Well done.
Now, getting back to the president's extreme rhetoric during that meeting with law enforcement officials earlier today, the president asked those sheriffs in the room if they needed any help. One Texas sheriff said he needed help with a lawmaker, a state senator in his state, and to that, the president said, well, perhaps we could destroy his career. Jake, I went and asked the White House about that comment. A White House spokesperson said the president was just joking. Jake.
All right, Jim Acosta, thank you.